Something remarkable occurred at Derrimut 24/7 Gym yesterday. This is out near Caroline Springs.
I don't reckon anyone's ever said that before, have we?
Well, it was extraordinary yesterday because not only was a four-time world champion Danny Green there,
Yeah.
I'm told
That's a
Arnold
fairly big
Schwarzenegger.
effort.
Arnold Schwarzenegger just rolled into the gym, and the man on the line can confirm or deny this. Welcome to Dead Set Legends, one of our great friends here, the Green Machine, Danny Green. Good morning, Danny.
Good morning, boys. How are you?
Derrimut. I don't know it that well,
Seriously.
and I'm sure Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't. What on earth was occurring there yesterday? You need to tell us.
I was at. I did a couple of speaking engagements with him. One in Perth. I didn't do it with him. I was a guest speaker at the shows he was doing. So he had another show out at Am Wicked, a mob that look after my speaking engagements Australia-wide. They're based in Melbourne, and Netta Gorlick and Mark Hedge, and they organised for me to go out there and interview Arnie, and the big fella's out there. It was mayhem. He has just got this crazy presence about him.
Well, so tell us about, Danny, tell us about Arnold Schwarzenegger and yourself in Derrimut.
Well, I was just supposed to go out there and kind of introduce him, and they said, "Oh, do you want to interview Arnie?" I said, "All right, yeah, for sure, no worries." So I jumped on stage, and I was like, "What am I to say?" Because he gave this amazing speech, and he really, like I said, boys, he's got this crazy presence about him. He's just larger than life. And he hops up there and on the stage, and I wasn't sure what I was going to call him. I was like, so the first question was, there was a lot of people there. I said, "Mate, what do I call you? Do I call you Mr. Schwarzenegger? Do I call you Arnie? Do I call you the governor or the Terminator?" And he goes, "It depends where you are. Some people call me the professor. If I'm in California, I'm a professor in California, or I get the governator, or some people call me Schnitzel." When I went, he gave me the microphone back. I said, I'm going to have to take this opportunity to do this, mate, but my mates won't believe me, but, Schnitzel, what's your favourite movie you've made?
Yeah, gold.
And then I asked him to do his, I said, "What's your favourite line?" I said, "My favourite line from the movies, is from Commando, when you bend down and you're on the airplane, you're kidnapped, and you elbow that guy on the head, and you quickly snap his neck and kill him and prop him up against a window." Yeah. And he's lying there, and then you call the hostess, and then the hostess comes over and she goes, "Yes, sir," and you go, "Don't disturb my friends, he is dead tired." And then I said, "What's your favourite line, mate?" And then he waited there, and there was like probably 1,500 people at the gym, and he waited with the microphone, and everyone was just waiting with bated breath on the edge of their seats to see what he was going to say. And he waited like 5-10 seconds. He was thinking, and it was dead silent. And he just goes, "Get to the chopper." And then he started rattling off all his favourite lines, he goes, "Well, I did I'll Be Back, and you're never quite sure when, if a line's going to be the biggest line in movie history." And I had James Cameron, he was saying, "You have to say, I'll be back." And I said, "No, I will be back." And they go, no, it's not I'll be back. It's I'll be back. He says, "But I say, I will be back." And he goes, "I don't tell you how to act. You don't tell me how to write."
Anyway,
I'm not sure if we've got Danny Green or Jerry Seinfeld on the line. This is extraordinary stuff, Scotty. I can't believe this.
I could listen to this all day, brother. I'm going to tell you.
Mate, I was on a high. I was telling some reporter yesterday, and I had to send him a text after and apologise for banging his ears off.
Talk about size-wise, though. He's not that tall or anything, is he? How do you shape up to him?
I think he's 65, so I think he's shrunk a little bit, and not being small, I think he's actually shrunk about 1.5 inches, apparently. So he would be about 6'1", and probably, he'd probably, be about, I don't know, mate, I wasn't sure how thick he is. He's wearing a pretty big suit. He's a big lad, and he's for 65, he's in good nick, and he's his marbles are all there, and he's a real cool dude. I was, pretty stoked to meet him, and I said to him, my son and I were watching you literally a week ago on a Fox watching Conan the Barbarian, and my son loves you.
Wow.
And I said, "I'm going to see this guy." I said, "My son Archie," I said, "Hey, Turbo, I want to go see this guy next week and have a meeting with him." And Archie goes, and your son or your daughter, everyone, no one can beat their dad. Your dad's King Kong. Doesn't matter, King Kong could come to town, and Archie, my son, would go, "Dad, you'll beat him." He looked at Arnie and he goes, "Oh, Dad, he's going to smash you."
Greenie, blokes with a real sort of physical presence like yourself and myself, we always like to know what the opposition's like. Tell me about the biceps on the man, because I used to watch that pumping iron and it got me in the gym, and I'm still pumping iron and I'm looking nothing like that man. Is he still got muscles on his muscles?
He was, like I said, boys, he was wearing this pretty slick suit, and he had like crocodile skin boots on. He's pretty flash, mate. And he's pretty cool. But at one stage, I just said to him, I was interviewing, I was like, man, I can't believe I'm interviewing you, mate. Like, I met Muhammad Ali, and I was very nervous, and you're kind of, I don't know what to say. I just felt like giving you a hug, mate. I love you, you know. And he was just laughing. He was cool, but he's seriously, he is like a fridge. He's like a Kelvinator. And I reckon if you'd open that Kelvinator fridge up, you'd fit about 50 boxes of piss in there, because he's a big dude.
Hey, mate, what about his speech in that? Like, what sort of is he a serious speech that he talks about, like when he was governor, or is it all just about movies and weights and that sort of stuff?
I was going to ask him. I had all these poignant questions to ask him, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'll sound really really flash and intelligent. And then he just said it all in the speech, and it kind of blew all my questions.
Had nothing left.
He really does talk amazing. Like, he's got he really does captivate the audience. And what he says, when he was 15 years old, he wanted to go to the United States, and he had a vision, he had a dream, and he said, I saw this magazine, I'm from Austria, and the only way I could do it was to get big and to build my body. That's my way to get there, to be Mr. Universe, and then I can get to the movies. And he just told this great story about how he made his way from Austria as a 15-year-old kid, built it up, and I mean, he really has revolutionised the fitness industry. And like he said, every gym, there's a gym in every hotel, there's a gym in every police club, there's a gym in every police station, fire station, name around the world, a school, university, and from where he's come from, what he's done, and to go to Hollywood, and then you go to politics, and then he's really, his achievements. There's not many people in the world that'll achieve what he's done, especially from a country like Austria, which kind of is not really hasn't really produced that many kind of great, famous, well-known people. He's got an incredible story.
Danny, your boxing career, 4 world titles in 3 different classes. Your last fight in Melbourne, Shane Cameron, someone was trying to tell me you went into that fight with broken ribs. True story? Yeah,
mate. I broke them 5 weeks out when I was in training, and busted them pretty badly, and had to go and just deal with it and get a shot of cortisone in my ribs, and so I could go to sleep that night. And it was pretty painful. But you know what, man, it's part and parcel. In round 1, I was like, I went to wear a guard the whole time in sparring. We didn't tell anyone. Had to keep it under wraps, because if he found out, then that would have been an area he would have targeted. So, and then first round it was like crack. He just cracked him, bang, and it's like, oh man, they went like a bag of chips again. So, but it's part and parcel. Scotty, you've been there and done that, mate. You play with injuries and you rock and roll.
There is no way the man sitting across me.
I'm shaking my head in complete agreement, Screen. I'm hearing you.
Caught him with broken ribs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Touch more padding.
I think I missed about 8 weeks with a bruised rib once, but anyway, what's the go? Are you still fighting? What have we got coming up, my friend?
Oh, I'm not sure, boys.
Ask.
It might be. I actually retired in 2008 as world champion, and if I retire again as world champion, I think I'll be the only bloke in the world to have actually retired twice as a world champion. It's something that I always wanted to do, to retire as champ. Then I retired. I kind of came back. I'm like, far out. I've got to try and get that back and retire as champ again, because that's how I wanted to end my career. So I think in 10 years' time, if I don't fight again, I'll appreciate the decision a lot more, because my daughter's 11, and as I said yesterday, she's 11, and people said, oh, geez, you're still, keeping fit. Yeah, I'm keeping my eye in for sure, because, she's 11, 12, getting on, and the little boys at 14, 15, they're fast little buggers, I want to be able to chase them around the block. So get fit that way.
Danny Green's next fight may be against his daughter's first boyfriend. Danny, we really appreciate your time this morning. You've sort of done a bit of Jerry Seinfeld, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Have you got one final Arnie line for us to before you let us go on a Saturday morning?
Hasta la vista, baby.
Danny Green, you're a star. Thanks for joining us on Dead Set Legends.
Yeah, boys, have a great day.
It's been a big week for the Australian cricket team. They've been not doing extremely well at the Champions Trophy. Dave Warner's had his issues. This Monday night, Scotty, 8:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 3, There's it's a version of EMT, Eddie Maguire's show, and Eddie has sat down with Michael Clark, and the access to Michael Clark and other players like Peter Siddle, Shane Warne, Brad Hatton, it's unbelievable. You see a completely different side of Michael Clark. You need to watch this at 8:30pm, Fox Sports 3, Monday night. And we've been lucky enough to get a little bit of the interview from the Fox Sports crew. And this is Michael Clark. This is prior to what happened with David Warner. So when he talks about David Warner here, it's relating to the tweeting incident, nothing to do with the incident during the week, but it really gives you an insight into Michael Clark the man and Michael Clark the leader.
I think as the Australian cricket team, you understand what comes with representing Australia. It's not just about what you do on the field, it's also what you do off the field. And the media plays a big part, as the public, the people that come and follow us and support us as the Australian team. David understands and realises how important the media is to help support this team. He understands his role in the team, and he's made it very clear that he's apologised for what's happened.
Very hard to keep everyone focused, isn't it?
Well, I think it's great because there's so much opportunity now as a cricketer, especially as a young cricketer coming into this game. You've got 3 formats. You've got Champions League, IPL, Big Bash, but there's only one Australian cricket team, and that's what we're trying to do. This is our standard. These are our expectations. What you do when you're with your state, what you do when you're with your IPL or Big Bash team is their responsibility. But if you're an Australian cricketer, these are the expectations you must match to be a part of this team.
Can you tell us what those expectations are?
How long have you got?
Yeah.
Well, look, I think it's the simple things. Like any successful team, it's discipline, it's respect, it's trust, it's integrity of the game. It's value on the people that have come before you and respect for the people that have come before you to know where this game is at this stage and where we're trying to take it as a team.
I can't wait to hear the rest of that show, 8:30pm on Monday night, Fox Sports 3. Really up close and personal with Michael Clark as EMT. I really was interested by what he was saying there about leadership, Scotty.
Yeah, I don't know. He's the Australian cricket captain. You need to have some sort of respect, I suppose. Well, he's just not my sort of bloke, and I struggle to listen to him, and they're all interesting words, and they all make sense.
What do you mean he's not your sort of bloke?
Oh, he's not my sort of bloke. He's just, I don't know. I reckon he's hard to take to, Michael Clark. I talked to him when he was hitting double centuries every test. I talked to him then. But I don't know. I just struggle with him, and you hear all the stories. You know and we'll say there are rumours. You know why Simon Kadich and him had a dust up in the change rooms because he didn't want to be there with the boys. He wanted to leave them and go and be with Lara Bingle. You hear the stories why Mike Hussey is no longer playing cricket. And
you're tying that into Michael Clark, are you?
You haven't heard that one either. Maybe that instead of Huss, it was his last games. It was his decision to when they'd sing the song and when they'd leave the rooms. All he wanted to do was sit there with the boys in his last ever game for Australia and have a drink with the boys. But they got an invite from Kerry Packer to go on his yacht. James Packer, thank you. And Michael Clark wanted to do that, and that's when he wanted to go and hang out on a yacht instead of sitting there with the boys and having a drink with them. And like I said, there are rumours. I'm not sure how much facts in there, but I don't know. I struggle with him, Howie.
Well, I think a lot of those rumours will be put to bed because I know they definitely talk about the Simon Kadich incident in this special 8:30pm Fox Sports 3. I think you'll get a different idea of Michael Clark. And if any man, you think Julia Gillard's got a big job in leadership in the next 3, 4, 5 months, I think Michael Clark, with a squad that is fractured at the moment, it is a true test of this man's leadership. And I wish him all the best because I'm right on board, Scotty.
Oh, mate, I want us to win the Ashes. Don't get me wrong there. I'm barracking hard. I hope they do really well. I'm just saying, I'm not sure I can take him as a bloke.
Triple M's Dead Set Legends podcast was brought to you by Harvey Norman.
Get big game ready with a Samsung Smart TV from Harvey Norman. Triple M's Dead Set Legends podcast for Harvey Norman's Aussie Farmers Direct catalogue out now.